All right, still on the outcome of the Anambra elections, we go over to our Abuja studios now where Jude Onyeka joins us. He's the Director of Strategy Planning, Tony Nwoye Campaign Organization, also a PDP agent during the elections. Good morning and thanks for joining us. Tell us what you think about these particular elections, because we're getting to hear different vibes and views from PDP Anambra as well as the national PDP. Elections. Good morning and thanks for joining us. Tell us what you think about this particular elections, because we get. Tell us what you think about this particular elections.
Hello, good morning, Suleiman Mokwe and Neta. This election, as far as we are concerned, is a mere charade, because starting from the pre-election period, when the INEC shared the materials, there were a lot of things that happened maybe just a day before. Our people, especially access to the places where the voting materials arrived. Some of the local government headquarters where these materials arrived were cordoned off by security men. Our party agents were not allowed. We complained, and on the day of the election proper, what predominantly took place that day was that a lot of our supporters, a lot of voters that registered in Anambra State were disenfranchised. Over 50 to 60% of the people were disenfranchised. A lot of people who saw their names on the voters register that was displayed in some polling stations, by the time they got there on the voting day to cast their vote, all they were told is that their names had were no longer in the register. One wonders how we can say that the election was free and fair if there was a massive disenfranchisement of voters. So I beg to disagree with the people who think that the election was free and fair, and I say that it was a mere charade, it was a monumental failure.
And you think who's the person that should bear the blame for the failure is INEC?
Of course, INEC is the umpire in this case. They were the people that conducted the election. And there were things they were supposed to do. I mean, if you go for an election and you want to cast your vote and you're told that your name is not on the voters register, what makes you a responsible citizen? So I make bold to say that INEC is to be blamed, because they are the ones that furnished these materials to us. They were the ones that furnished this material with which they voted. Okay.
Mr. Onyeka, did INEC give you the voters register before the election?
Yes, they did.
Did you look at it?
Yes, they did. Yes, we looked at it.
The second time or the first time?
We looked at it. Even the second time. About the register we are talking about here, INEC gave us the first register, which took us more than a week to print and circulate. Then, on less than 2 days before the election, less than 48 hours, a revised register comes up. Do we have another 1 week to print it and circulate it? Please answer me.
So you did not look at it because you did not have time to print and circulate?
No, we looked at it, not like we didn't look at it. We looked at it, but we're talking about printing and circulating down to the wall. For you to print that. Sorry?
Was the second register the same as the first one you looked at?
It wasn't.
Did you raise any alarm? Did you complain?
No, what I'm telling you is that you're talking about a register that was given 3 weeks before the election. 3 weeks before that election, the register was given. We took custody of it. We printed this register and circulated it down to the ward, down to the local government, down to the polling booth. And less than 48 hours to the election, another register comes up. How thorough can you be if you don't print this register and send down to the wards? And send down to the polling booth for people to look at it. There was no time to do all that.
Now, what I find interesting, I mean, we've seen the three candidates, three major candidates. Your principal, Mr. Tony Nwonye, so the principal of the ACN, or the candidate of the ACN, Dr. Chris Ngige, and we also saw a Labour Party candidate, Ifeanyi Oba, during a joint press conference. And then one wonders, only one of them could have been governor anyway, you know, so what exactly informed that?
What informed them is simple. Every responsible citizen of this country who went through that election, who participated in that election, would agree with the three people you're talking about that this election was not free and fair as it was supposed to be. That press conference was to address the imminent issue. Remember, in this election we're talking about, my candidate, Comrade Tony Nwonye, could not cast his vote on an election day. What makes you eligible to contest? At least you should, for you to participate in an election of this magnitude, you should be able to vote and be voted for. People voted for him, but he could not vote.
That is where I find it somehow, well, absurd. If, well, you were given a document to go through, and that's the second time, and you just couldn't find the time to go through it the second time, one would have thought that you would have checked, if anything, your candidate's name on that particular register just before the election. How come your party, the PDP in Anambra, did not take time out to check to see if its candidate's name was on that particular document given to it?
Like I said earlier, there was lack of time to do all that. We're talking about less than 48 hours to the election. Less than 48 hours to the election. And you're giving a hard disk that contains over 1,780 something names. And you're expected to go through it.
We're talking about like I said, one name here, one candidate, your flag bearer. You should have actually taken time out to look out to see if his name was on that document.
Like I said, the whole thing boils down to one thing. Why would you change, the question we should be asking is, why would you change a register less than 48 hours before the election?